We are Movie Menu Reviews, your nothing podcast. On today's menu, we'll be reviewing Christopher Robin. Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast. Live on Facebook on episode 198.
So close to 200. It's been interesting.
It's
been so long.
It's been so long.
We've had a vacation, I think, right?
200th anniversary
is coming right up. Yeah.
No, 200th anniversary means 200 years.
Yeah. We're not 200 years.
We've been doing this podcast for 200 years, guys.
You mean this hasn't been that long? Why does it feel like that?
That's exactly what I keep saying. Yeah. So we're nearing our 200th episode, in which we will end forever.
No, I should introduce you guys.
You probably should get on it.
Should you?
This is your job.
Joining me today is our esteemed panelist and co-host Z. Also here is my co-host Mike Stan.
I like how you did a weird sort of like a guttural. Oh, that hurt. Yeah, I don't know how you do that.
You okay there?
Yeah, well, clearly death metal is not in my future.
Yeah. Well, it depends. If you want a coughing, you could do coughing death metal.
Coughing death metal? Christopher Robin.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that didn't come out too bad, did it?
Yeah. No, it was pretty good.
All
I could use that in the middle too.
You know, I could listen to this for hours, but let's go ahead and move on.
Could you though?
I thought this was about nothing, Dan. Come on.
Yeah. We are the nothing.
This is
podcast.
the Seinfeld podcast, basically, right? Like where we just go on for hours about nothing.
What's the deal with coughing?
What's the deal with Christopher Robin?
So on that note, we don't have any movie news that we want to discuss, so we're just gonna go ahead and head over to the movie review. So the movie we're reviewing is Christopher Robin. It is directed by Mark Forster. It is written by Alex Ross Perry, Tom McCarthy, and Alison Schroeder. Here's the plot. A working-class family man, Christopher Robin, encounters his childhood friend, Winnie the Pooh, who helps him rediscover the joys of life. It stars Ewan McGregor, Haley Atwell, Bronte Carmichael, and the voice of Jim Cummings. All right, guys, so we have all seen this film, so we shall all decide this movie's worth a dine and watch it in theaters, take out, wait and watch it at home, or leftovers, get eaten by a woozle.
Woozle.
Okay.
Yeah. Or go work for one.
Go work for one.
Yeah.
Or
by a wizo?
Or grow up and forget your childhood.
I thought you were going to go for go woozle yourself, but okay.
Go woozle yourself.
That's good too. Why I like go wizo yourself.
Go wizo.
Yeah.
Since we have no special guests today, sorry.
We don't.
There's no extra points given to anyone.
All right.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine then.
So
be like that.
Yeah.
So that just means that unanimous decision.
No,
probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it depends. That's Z has a good point.
Let's you know what? Let's leave it up to Rigo. Who
no
doubt will be listening to this episode.
Yes,
so we'll just do that. You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Two against
majority wins.
Sorry, Dan.
You guys forget. You guys forget that I'm the host, so I have 2 points. I get an extra point.
Well, then it's tied, then, right?
Yeah, at that point it's tied.
You know who breaks the tie?
It's Rigo.
No, it's the host.
Yeah, I think it's Rigo. I agree with this. Yeah, absolutely.
Rigo wins either way. Sorry,
I agree.
Anyways, rate this film. Z, you go first.
Yeah. It's strange because this film for me would be a takeout if it wasn't so heartfelt. So I'm going to give it a dine in because it just charmed the pants off of me.
You know what?
It was just super charming.
I'm going to interrupt you right there.
Really, right there. Okay.
Right there because I couldn't agree with you more.
You agree with me?
I would. I mean, it is kind of a takeout, but the parts of Winnie the Pooh itself and the characters there, it is charming as fuck.
And the message is just super charming. So like a lot of it is, it's a movie that you can take kids, and there was kids in my theater.
Wait, let me stop you right there. Oh, okay. Let me interrupt you again, and now Mike.
Yeah, you're right. Forget about Mike. We forgot Mike existed in this. Mike already. Oh, bother.
Yeah. No,
Mike's just a co-host with no brains.
No, very little brains.
Very little brains.
No
brains.
I only have potter brain. No, this would be takeout for me, except that it is a takeout for me. I give it a takeout.
All right. Well, 2 against 1. I guess you lose automatically. So there you go.
No, it's technically 3 because I have an extra point as host.
Oh, all right.
Well,
all right.
Rigo, I'm gonna need your help.
No, we already beat
No, at this
Rigo.
point we're 3-2, so we win.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
So this movie, so first of all, just as a short review, its messages are very clear, and I think for that reason alone, if you're a kid, you will benefit from watching it, and if you're an adult, you will benefit from watching it. It's just a very inspirational story that, for the most part, right, could easily belong on the Lifetime channel, but the fact that it's the message,
well, it has better actors.
That's what I was going to say. The fact that the sincerity of the story, the graphics of the story, like all of the movie itself, is just an enjoyable film. So if you've got nothing to watch over the weekend and you want to go and go to the theater, this is a fun movie to watch.
Except you can't use MoviePass unless it's e-ticketing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
can use AMC A-List.
You could do AMC A-List, but we're not talking about that. We're not reviewing that. Dan, what about you?
No, I agree. So I grew up with watching Winnie the Pooh, and I felt like they did it right.
Yeah.
I'm glad when they first came out with this movie. I know they had a Remember Christopher Robin movie that came out last year.
Did.
It was not. I mean, it was okay, but it was a story behind how Winnie the Pooh was created.
Right.
And so that was more lifelike. Now this, using the imagination of wonder, as Disney loves to do, I really enjoyed how they brought those characters to life and how Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, Tigger were all stuffed animals, and Rabbit and Owl were like real animals. That was really great that they used that. And just the whole thing about imagination and childhood wonder really reflected back with me as well.
Yeah.
Because it sucks to grow up. Being an adult sucks.
It does suck. And you know what? The other part, too, is that it reminded me a lot of the cartoon. So it was a live-action cartoon. And in the same way that I would say that, you know, what's that one show, the one movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? So it reminded me a lot of that, where it's like the balance between the live-action and the animation was melded so well together that, like, okay, there are moments in which I can tell that they're just hugging a stuffed bear, but I didn't care because I was feeling really sad at those moments.
But I mean, the way that Mark Forster directed this, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like when you follow Winnie the Pooh through the 100-acre wood,
Yeah.
or just him on his adventures, or with the other guys having like tea or honey or anything. It just looks beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
It's really nice that they used it. And I really felt that Ewan McGregor was the everyday Christopher Robin. He was easily to relate to and understand. And I see that this is not an original movie. I mean, Hook did it.
Yeah.
And this is a very similar version of
Yeah,
that.
sure. That is definitely what came to mind when I saw this
Yeah.
film, was Hook, for sure, in terms of theme. And but I feel like there was a lot more excitement going on in Hook versus this.
Not according to the director of Hook. Steven Spielberg hated that movie. But yeah, you're right. To be fair, right?
To be fair, Peter Pan and Winnie the Pooh, they're not
are two
compared.
different stories. One's an action thriller. This one's more of a reflection
It's a
on.
child,
Well,
yeah.
One film that this also reminded me of, and I wouldn't say it's. I didn't dislike Christopher Robin, but this film reminded me of BFG in terms of.
Oh, interesting.
My God!
In terms of pacing, and I think this film had very, very, very slow pacing. And
look at the characters.
Yeah, but the characters are great. but even, I mean, the characters
But
are
I
very
enjoy being this low. I loved being in the 800-acre wood and being nostalgia with that. And I love those characters growing up.
Sure.
So I didn't mind the slow pace. The only part of it is when they come to the real world. Every time the real world was there, was like, okay, whatever. But Winnie the Pooh and all those characters, I felt like they did a great job with them.
Yeah, I mean, it looks amazing.
But even just the feel of the characters, just like seeing, which is weird to say, like their souls on screen.
Yeah,
it was
they did.
Great.
They did.
And to clarify a little bit, when I said Lifetime movie, there's a clear first act, second act, third act, and I think from what you're talking about, the pacing issue, I don't know about you, but for me, like I was like, all right, this is a little predictable in that I know that something's going to happen here, and so that predictability kind of took me away from the film itself. However, Right. The thing is, the story itself is still very charming. You still kind of connect. I connected with it. And I'm, like I said before, there was kids in my audience. They connected with it. I may have been the loudest person laughing in the theater.
I think I was too.
Yeah, but and I have to give it to Mike in some respects because I agree. I think there's more of a nostalgia thing going on here because me and Dan clearly connect more with Winnie the Pooh because we probably grew up. Did you grow up watching Winnie the Pooh?
Very little.
Oh, I loved Winnie the Pooh.
But I mean, not that. Not
you
that
hated
I
Winnie the Pooh.
But like the Pooh, I don't know if they're called Poohisms, but the Poohisms are just so cleverly written.
They are,
and they're so charming because like anything that Christopher Robin says out loud, he turns it and makes it into a Poohism, and you're just kind of like, damn, like you don't realize the significance of, say, the satchel, right? The where he keeps all his important briefcase. He keeps all the important things in there, and it just you could tell where it's going, and the meaningfulness of just simply saying like, but do you really have all your important things in there?
Is Madeline in there?
Yeah, and that's just super charming because again, right, like from a kid's perspective, and I think Pooh is really just Christopher Robin as a child. But he reflects back. He's a reflection of Christopher Robin, and I think with that, like if we were all faced with our childhood, teddy bears, we would also have sort of like that cynicism that the adult Christopher Robin has, and then if the kid version would reflect back and go like, hey, listen, you're taking things way too serious. You forget to play. And I thought that message was important.
Right, and I also really appreciated the fact that they did not dumb this down for the audience like they did with Smurfs or Garfield or like Transformers or Ninja Turtles, how they dumb those characters and they're not reflective of our childhood. But watching this, it's like watching an episode of Winnie the Pooh growing up again.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they kept that connectivity throughout the movie. They didn't do injustice to the character. I felt like they did justice with it.
They did. Yeah. They did. The characters definitely came to life, and yeah, I believed all those characters existed, and just the special effects for each character looked amazing. It looked real.
Yeah,
it looked like real stuffed animals.
Yeah, you can tell you can tell that they had a script and they got a director that was kind of mediocre. And we'll talk a little more about the director. But they knew that I'm assuming when they saw the final product, they were like, this is one we're going to dump money on, and they really spent time on the CGI. So the characters come across as real, like you actually, and I think the important bit was don't make them into cartoon characters, make them into stuffed animals.
It was well acted, including the voiceover actors as well.
Yeah,
very well done.
Yeah, and I think it's also a reflection of just like where Christopher Robin's like age comes in, because all the characters, right, all the adult characters are speaking. All the human characters are speaking super fast. But then all of the stuffed animals have a tempo, very slow.
Except Tigger, but that's
well, that's because he's got ADHD and he has not taken his meds in years. So
which is funny though, because there's that meme like Christopher Robin is like he has these multiple personalities where reflect these characters. That's like a meme thing or whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. So it's just I thought that's a good way of, I don't know. I just really found the juxtaposition of adult life. Right, everything's moving so fast, and I think Piglet was like, "Oh, why does everything move so fast?" Because she's got severe anxiety. And when the adults and the humans are all moving at a different pace, and I think that is the reason maybe for you it felt a little jarring, because it went from like being very slow to being very fast.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. What it was for me was in terms of the pacing of the film, in terms of having things being picked up. So an example of that is in the beginning where we get to see how Christopher Robin grew up. Which
I love that sequence. By the way,
I thought
the chapters they included in there.
I thought it was cool in terms of stylization, but I overall I still feel like the film took a long time in there, and just pacing wise, and I don't know.
So to clarify for the audience of you who have not watched the film, they do an illustration. So they use the old illustrations of Winnie the Pooh, the books themselves, to showcase where he goes through life, and it feels like, from what you're describing, it's a prologue. They're doing a lot of prologuing where they're explaining where his life goes before the story begins. I personally love that because it was fantastic to see where somebody goes different, right? And what you discover very early on, I don't think it's a spoiler since it's in the very, very beginning of the story, Christopher Robin goes to boarding school, which Winnie the Pooh later refers to as
boring school.
There you go. And when he gets there, he's studying. People are rejecting his imagination, and his father, who had sent him there, passes away. And I think that's the loss of childhood that's explained. And so they chapterize that.
And then another again when he goes to war.
He goes to war. He meets his wife. Yeah. Oh, sorry. He meets his wife first. Then he goes to war. And that just seemed, and the loss of innocence, the loss of all of that, like having to leave the childhood things behind. And they're just doing those chapters. And I loved it. I was like, oh, okay, I know what we're doing here. This is really fun. And they do bring it back at the end, which I thought was really good. They bring that back at the very end. And so you just feel like you've been watching a chapter in someone's life, and I really dig that. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah.
Just too slow for you?
Yeah, just that whole first act, I would say, is a little bit too slow. I think there were a lot of moments in this film that I felt could have been cut, where if this film, I know you guys would disagree with me, but like if it was like a 45-minute film, I feel like it would be way more solid than it is now. I just think there was just a lot of empty spaces.
45 minutes?
I disagree entirely. And I'll tell you why I disagree, because Haley Atwell does a great job. I think she blows it out of the water in a very simple and could have been a very flat role. She actually gives you a full round character of a woman who is dealing with a husband who has gone away to who went away to war and never came back. And I thought that was really good. I also really liked Bronte Carmichael, who played the little girl Madeline in this. She was just again like a very charming and she reminded me of the actress from I think Madeline, right? What was the one with Danny DeVito?
Yeah, I think
that
so.
was.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Matilda.
Thank you, Matilda. She also came out in Mrs. Doubtfire. So I thought that she had that face, the similar facial structure. So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. They would choose an actress like that. But I thought she really did a good job when her scenes came up to carry the story, because the story doesn't only involve Christopher Robin. It involves the whole family of Christopher Robin, and so I thought that was really cool to watch her interact with the teddy bears. And not only that, but just seeing how the whole world reacted to the teddy bears. Teddy bears? No. Stuffed animals. I just really dig that, because it's like, in a way for me, and I know this is a different studio, for me, I was just thinking the entire time going like, Christopher Robin's a wizard, and no one's discovered this yet. And so the fact that everyone's kind of looking and seeing these stuffed animals, they're all the muggles, and they're all seeing the magic appear, and they're like, did you see that? No, we didn't see that. So I thought that was also really like an interesting, maybe they were playing around with that, but I really, they did. Really dig that.
Yeah, there were definitely fun moments there. But I feel like, and I agree with you in terms of how executed each actor acted their character.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think they did a very great job.
Yeah.
And
even Mark Gatiss, who by the way can overact at anything. Like if you give him a script, he'll overact. But he did really well in this, because he overacted in a way that you expect, for me anyways, Mark Gatiss to overact. And I thought he played a really like again, he played more of an archetype. He didn't actually play a character. And I was like, okay,
is that the boss?
That's the boss. Yeah, the Giles character.
Yeah.
So and I was like, okay, he's playing not just an archetype, but in the story they defined that he's also playing the monster that they feared as a kid. Was it the Wuzo? Yeah. So I thought that was really curious that they were just blending the narratives of a child to the narratives of an adult, and I just thought that was also interesting. Continue.
No, that's fine. No, and I think another thing that, like this, I feel like the conflict, and I mean, not that you would expect heavy conflict in a Winnie the Pooh film, anyways, but there was like very, very little to no conflict, which made the film very, very safe from like beginning to end.
But then the question becomes, who's the audience?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So the audience being children.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a movie that's going to be super complex. It has to hit both adults and kids.
But that's the interesting thing about this film too, is that there are complexities in this, and there are assumptions that they like it's very thoughtful. Like even in the beginning of like when you're talking about Christopher Robin's life, like it doesn't spell it out for the audience.
No.
So at the same time, you have a film that doesn't have this the amount of conflict because it's a lot of young kids watching it, but at the same time, you have this emotional complexity of just assuming that that same audience will pick up quickly that Christopher Robin's father passed.
But
they don't spell it out.
They don't spell it
out. I don't think the fact that him having the whole work on his shoulders and his dealing with his family being little conflict, that's like a real life thing that people deal with every day. That is a huge conflict within their lives.
Yeah.
So I don't think diminishing that is fair to the film, because though it might not be like a Mission Impossible action conflict, it's still a pretty believable conflict within someone's life,
right? And it's like there's that moment in very early in the movie where she wants him to read a story and he chooses the book and he doesn't.
It's a very boring book,
and I think that's like the conflict. That's like, and I think every kid can identify with that. And then there's a scene. Right where the second act ends and the third act begins, where the mom is. So when Haley Atwell's character Evelyn, she's fighting with Christopher Robin, and like I don't know about you guys, but I definitely heard my parents fight. So that was a part which connected to me because it was like it was there, and so it was just raw, and it was real. Right? It's like, how about you go back to work? That's what you want to do, abandon your family, go right ahead and do that. Mm-hmm. And it was so passively aggressively given that you're just kind of like, oh, this is hitting definitely a chord.
This film is passive aggressive.
Incredibly. Sure. No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But, so I dig that. That's what I thought that was conflict enough.
Okay. I mean, if
Mike's getting beaten up.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. What I would have wished was that the characters came to the world sooner.
Oh,
and
really?
Or I think
almost a part of me wished they didn't come to the world at all. I almost feel like we wanted to stay in the 100-acre world, but I saw the reason why.
Or it's just the crossing of the two of Christopher Robin's two lives. Like I would have wanted to see the crossing of those two lives a lot sooner, specifically like his wife and daughter.
Right. Okay, I see what you mean.
So it's kind of I don't know if you'd even call that spoiler or not, really, but I think if those two worlds would have collided a lot sooner, I would have enjoed that more.
But as an audience, though, especially a fan, we want to go back. We want to ease back into this world of these characters who we haven't seen, at least we haven't seen in a very long time. Mm-hmm. So it's like they're giving us like a special. It's like for both generations or different generations where we walk into Pooh's world. And we experienced that, and then we bring Christopher Robin back into it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it needed to go slow like that. Also, I think that the trailer was a little bit misleading, which I think that's where, like, I don't know. You watched the trailer.
I did see the trailer. It didn't.
And the trailer was a little misleading. I remember we talked about it on the show. Yeah, and we talked about how like it more than like we could see the whole plot through, and I was pleased that it didn't follow what I expected to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I had from the trailer. I had no expectations one way or the other as far as which way it was going to go. Yeah. But
so, do we have any comments? This Rigo?
Yeah, Rigo commented.
All right, Rigo.
What do you think, Rigo? Did you see it?
No, he said he laughed at Z kind of, but he said hook and action thriller. I love it with laughing emojis.
Oh, did I say action thriller? Sorry, action comedy. Thank you for calling me on that. It's definitely an action comedy.
Horror. No.
There's not a lot of horror elements in it. There are horror elements, but they're not severe. But it's definitely more action comedy. Yes, thank you, jackass.
Thank you, Rigo.
I remove your ability to choose who wins.
No, Z, you mentioned that you want to talk more about the director. What did you think about the directing?
Well, like I said, it's a movie that is literally paint by the numbers. He played it safe. He did not try anything.
Totally agree with that.
That was definitely something that could have been risky.
Well, I feel like the cinematography was great.
The cinematography was fantastic, absolutely. But what I'm saying, as far as like the story and the way that he directed the film, it just felt like a safe movie. And looking at his track record of films that he's directed in the past, including, hold on, let me give you a good list of this. World War Z, which was a huge letdown.
That was
Quantum of Solace, which was the crappiest one of the
it wasn't
James Bond stories.
It was Skyfall, but that's how we agree.
Well, that's something you can argue about. But he also
most people say it is.
Yeah, he also did Stranger Than Fiction, which is one of my all-time favorite films.
It's one of my favorite films,
so I think because Disney chose him, he needed to play it safe, and it did feel like a very safely filmed movie. And that's why when I commented earlier about like you could easily put this on the Disney Channel or Lifetime, like it just felt a very safe, by the numbers film.
And that's how I feel it can easily be watched is on Disney Channel or Lifetime. That you don't necessarily.
It's
need
not
to
like
go to
Mary
the
Poppins
it,
Returns, for example, right? Like Mary Poppins Returns looks like it's gonna be like
Yeah,
they're gonna throw it. They're gonna do something completely different with it.
Yeah.
This one, it was just safe.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, and that's a part of why I give it a takeout is because of the safeness of the film.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's.
What's wrong with safe, Mike? Why don't you like being safe? Why don't you like being wrapped up in the blanket? Just,
I mean, there's nothing wrong
warm.
there's nothing wrong with that, but I just feel like that's not always necessarily why I go to the theater.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, listen, we watched Infinity War
Yeah.
and we saw the snap happen, you know, and that was a completely unsafe moment for all of us watching it.
And not that I need something unsafe to enjoy it, but I feel...
I know, it's
Winnie the Pooh,
It's
dude.
Winnie the Pooh. Like,
I know. I'm not
what
like,
more do you want?
He wanted to see Thanos show up, and then Winnie the Pooh going, "Oh, bother!"
You know what?
It turned to dust.
It would have been a dine-in for me.
That would have been really fun.
No, that would have been more depressing.
Yeah. And then you would have realized that Winnie the Pooh, in fact, was
a part of the world. Was a Marvel.
Exactly. And then Christopher Robin takes out his wand, and you're like, "Oh shit, he's a wizard!" Yeah, you know, and he would have just been throwing things at him. Can I ask a really, really dumb question?
Yeah.
All right. Which one of the characters are you guys? Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore?
Oh, come on. We should answer for each other.
What is Z?
Mike is Piglet for sure.
Oh, he is. He really is Piglet, isn't he?
Just right before the show.
Just right before the show, he was catastrophizing and getting all anxious and going like, oh no, the world is so loud. Oh,
the equipment was breaking. What do you want me to do?
The equipment was not breaking. Just
Z, you're Rabbit or Eeyore?
Eeyore, I'm definitely Eeyore. Yeah, I'll take that. Although I haven't tried committing suicide at a river that he can easily stand up on. That was really funny.
That was.
I mean, I don't know. I want to call you Winnie the Pooh, but like that's no. I don't know if you're Winnie the Pooh. You're definitely not Tigger.
No, I take Winnie. I'll be Winnie the Pooh.
No, you would take Winnie the Pooh. Mike, who do you think he would be?
I don't know.
I think like the owlet. I think the owl would be much more.
No.
No,
I don't know.
Winnie, just say Winnie the Pooh.
Just go with Winnie.
He's a woozle. I'm just kidding. Then
I agree with that. Let's go.
I'm just playing.
The woozle.
I'm just kidding.
On that note, we end the show. No,
the woozle's imaginary monster that you never see. So,
any final thoughts?
Honestly, this is a fun movie. Take your family. When I was watching it, I was thinking like, oh man, I should have brought my mom to watch this, because I think she would have really found it adorable. So I think it's a movie that adults, older adults can watch.
Totally.
People of our age can watch. And even at that, like I said, there were younger kids in the theater and they were enjoying it. So this is a good family film. When I said safe, I do mean, yes, it's family safe. You can watch it with the whole family. The messaging is there. And I think some adults might be taken aback by just how, direct it is about like, hey, listen, put your phones down, take care of your families. Like, I think it was a very direct message about, just how much family is important.
Sure.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Go watch the film, Mike.
I would say.
Wait at home.
I mean, I totally agree with that this film is safe and would be more enjoyed by the older crowd or the very, very younger crowd. And I think this may
or if you grew up with Winnie the Pooh.
Or if you grew up with Winnie the Pooh. I think for others this may be a little bit too slow paced. But it's easily a film you can watch at home with the family.
Mm-hmm.
So, But other than that, for me, I would say wait and watch it at home, which is what I would tell myself.
So on that note, we rated Dining and watch it in theaters.
You would tell yourself.
That is what I would. If there was a clone version of me,
Okay.
and
I was like, what does that mean?
And he appeared like from another dimension and was like, "What movie should I see?"
Are you older in this?
Yeah,
this?
no, it's like a doc. Doc.
Oh, okay.
Back
So
to
you
the
have
Future.
gray hair.
Or you're Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, he wouldn't know who Rick is.
It could be Rick, like Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty? Have you
Sure.
watched Rick and Morty?
I don't, but
Okay,
I know the reference.
Yeah.
So like, and
It's
he
great.
asked me what movie should I see. I would say not Christopher.
You would
Robin.
go, great Scott.
I would see. Wait till Hook comes out in theater again and go see that.
It will
you
not.
get the same.
So you're saying
same
they should do a
things.
Hook remake?
No, watch
they
the
really
original.
shouldn't. Yeah, cool.
They should play the original in
Mhm.
theater
Yeah.
again.
I think you're just hating because you like Hook so much, but that's okay.
I loved Hook.
I
I
know.
loved Hook.
That's what he's saying. He's like, you're
and I
hating
hated
because-
BFG, so that's what the director gets. but
On
yeah.
that note, we say dine in, watch it in theaters. So thank you so much, Mike, and thank you so much, Z, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Dan the Man. Make sure to check out our social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go to our website, moviemenupodcast.com. You can check out our YouTube channel as well, and our SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes. Subscribe, like, comment, share our posts, please. Rate and review us, and you can download us any podcast app that you have.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Until next time, I say goodbye.
See you later.
I don't know what you're doing now. Is the music not working? Okay.